All right, everybody, welcome to the first episode of Par None. I am Ryan Hernandez, along with my co-host, PJR, Patrick John Ryan. So excited to be here. Episode 1. PJR, how you feeling?
I'm loving this, and I haven't been called Patrick John Ryan since I was a kid getting screamed at, so that was like a little PTSD there for me for a minute.
It'll be the last time, but just in case there's anybody who's not familiar with us, but we'll go PJR from now on.
For sure.
Or the GOAT captain, one of the two. We haven't decided yet.
The GOAT captain.
So to get started, just a little bit about kind of why we're doing this. So we both work for Curated.com. It is an outdoor site, but we have a huge golf division that we both work for. And so P and myself have kind of like taken on the role of content development for Curated. And so we thought it'd be really, really fun. We just gelled really well, kind of right off the bat. And so kind of leading from that, we're like, man, what if we did a podcast? We've kind of been cheering each other on Instagram and through Curated and that kind of thing. And so we thought, well, if we're going to talk about clubs and golf anyways, almost every day of the week, why not record ourselves doing it? So that's where this came from. And some other experts at Curated are also planning a podcast, but you pay them no mind. Pay them
Even though you might see us on there, don't pay them any attention.
Yeah. So the plan is for us to release an episode every Wednesday. And the reason we're doing Wednesdays is it's hump day. So this hopefully is a little kind of like, energetic spurt of excitement for you kind of midweek. And then also PGA Tour events start on Thursday, so we thought it'd be awesome to kind of just preview the next PGA Tour event or major or live event, hot take, but and then kind of recap the last week's stuff. So that's kind of why we decided to do it, and Wednesdays just felt like a really natural, kind of like fun way to do that for us. And everybody releases their podcast on Monday and Tuesday, so we figured we'd kind of ignore the traffic and try to skip to Wednesday. So we'll see how it works. We also reserve the right to change it. So if we feel like it's not working, make changes as well.
We are our own bosses.
Yeah. So the first thing I want, well, first of all, where are you, PJR? Where are you located?
In lovely St. Louis, Missouri. It's 20 degrees here. It's not golf season. Not even close. We're actually getting ready to enter in probably the worst month of winter here in February.
Right.
So what a great time to start a podcast because there's not a whole lot of golfing I can do right now. So I envy you. You're down in Fort Worth? That's right?
Yeah, just north of Fort Worth. We're actually in Denton where the University of North Texas is, but it is also like St. Louis here right now. We've had ice storms the last 2 or 3 days. So we're actually like iced into our house for the most part. So it is also not golf weather, which is not traditional Dallas weather, but by Monday it's supposed to be 70 degrees. So we'll see how that goes. So
yeah, I don't get that till like maybe May. So to be real honest with you.
But thankfully we'll both be in Phoenix here in a couple weeks testing out equipment with Curated, and so it'll be much nicer for both of us there. I cannot wait for this I moved to Dallas so that this wouldn't happen. And now it's happening, so I'm pretty upset about that. So I have to figure out how to get to Arizona or Florida or Southern California, somewhere where it doesn't ice. Stupid.
Yeah, ice sucks. I'm not gonna lie. Like I can handle a lot of stuff, but like here it's this ice, then snow, then more ice. So it just takes forever to melt, and it's dangerous to drive on. It's just miserable. Ice is the worst thing.
That's going to be our first shirt. I think our first piece of merch is Ice Sucks, the Par None podcast. Listen every Wednesday. So, yeah, okay. Diving into the first thing that I wanted to talk about, and if you have anything you want to say, but I think one of the biggest reasons that, again, we wanted to start this was we both love golf equipment. We sell golf equipment. We talk about golf equipment. We fit people for golf equipment. And we're also just like addicted to it, I think. And so even if we weren't selling it, we'd probably still be talking about it. And so one of the cool things that we got to do, thanks to Callaway Golf and Curated, and I guess I should have worn my Paradym hat since we're talking about this, but I have the stealth hat on.
Good job,
we're not sponsored by anybody. Also, I think that's an important disclaimer to make. And one of the reasons why we're doing this is we have no partnerships. We have no affiliations with any golf club brand. And that's a passion of ours, is like we want to be unbiased. Like there's not really a ton of unbiased, and without naming names, but people that claim to be unbiased but aren't. And so I feel like we really truly are kind of like an unbiased company. And I feel like you and I both try to see every club and appreciate it outside of maybe like our preferences.
Oh yeah. Well,
I think that's
I have at least one of every manufacturer down here in this basement right now, so I'm clearly unbiased. It's kind of
for sure, and I'm getting pretty close, I think, too. So Callaway, thanks. Callaway Golf and Curated did kind of send us to the Paradym launch event in Los Angeles, which was awesome. We were there at the beginning of January. So it's going to be about a month, a little bit more when you're listening to this, but we really wanted to kind of just like take a minute to talk about that, because I think for both of us, just being A, golf nuts, and B, club nuts, like kind of was one of those like I don't want to say life altering experiences, but it has to be up there as far as just kind of like, holy smokes, what are we doing here moments.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was a very surreal thing. It was like almost like a terrible way to start the year, because I feel like my year can't get much improved from that event.
Right.
So the Callaway launch party was cool because it was for the Paradym line, the entire Paradym line. So we were there in El Segundo at Top Golf with there's a bunch of influencers. Annika Sorenstam was there. It's one of the few times I've fumbled over my words talking to someone. Completely embarrassed myself. Annika, if you ever see this, I'm usually not that fumbly. Roger Steele was there. Good was there. Colton Oast is a super cool dude. Snappy Gilmore, seeing him hit a golf ball, like you see it on Instagram, but seeing him do it in person is just wild, because being a golfer, being like a trained golfer, it just completely just unwraps your entire brain to try to fathom how on earth he does that. But it was crazy. It was so cool that we got to hit everything. We got to demo out everything before. I mean, the clubs don't launch until what, the 23rd?
No, they're on pre-sale until the 23rd of February. Yeah. So
I mean, it was just a surreal event, and then they had the True Temper van there, the Odyssey van. So we got to see how they build the clubs, who they build the clubs for. I mean, it was top notch. But the Paradym line alone, and I want to hear Ryan talk about it because I get so much pleasure out of hearing him say it, is absolutely unreal. I've always played Callaway wood, so maybe have a little bit of bias towards it. But I never go generation to generation with my golf clubs. That's never a thing that I do. But I'm going from the Rogue ST line to Paradym like that, like 100%. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I totally agree. And I have not been a Callaway guy. I was a Nike guy when I was a kid. Like into my early 20s, or even like mid 20s. I think like my favorite driver of all time was the Nike VRS Pro, the all black one. So I played that forever and ever, even after technology came out. And then when Nike did away with clubs, I tried TaylorMade, and I had the M3, which I hated. Sorry. And so I tried the Callaway Epic Flash, which was fine for me. But then I went I went TaylorMade for woods after that. So I had the Sim 2. I had the Stealth last year, which I'm still convinced that this last year's Stealth at the time it came out was maybe the best driver that had been out in 5+ years. That's my opinion. That is my opinion. Those are not gospel.
I'm a huge fan of the Callaway line, the original Epic Flash, the jailbreak tech, the flash face. Like, it's a super stable face. For me, the biggest difference personally is I feel like Callaway's drivers typically are a little bit more balanced. We are not sacrificing distance or forgiveness either way. Is it going to go as far as the Stealth right off the center? Maybe not. You might lose a couple yards.
Yep.
But when you hit it off the toe or the heel, I think you're going to be closer to the fairway than you are with the Stealth. That's from my own personal experience. I own the Stealth, so I can hit a nasty hook with that Stealth that I really have to try hard with my Rogue to do. That's all I got to say.
Right. And I think that's totally fair to say. And I think the thing that's important too is people get so caught up in like, well, the Rogue ST launched better for me, so you have no idea what you're talking about, or the ping, was so good. It's like, well, yeah, it worked for your swing. The Stealth worked for my swing. The Rogue works for P's swing. Like, that's okay. Like, we don't, I don't think we're ever going to get to a point where it's like, This is
What
the
golf
best
club
driver
forever?
of all time, and all the other drivers are complete garbage. I think, especially at this day and age, where it's like in the '90s, I think there was such a huge differential in equipment from the top makers to the bottom, and now that's kind of evening out a little
Yeah.
bit. Where a lot of the technology or a lot of the clubs, there's not a whole lot of distance. Drivers maybe a little bit more, but they're certainly narrowing the gap, and club makers that really were lesser known are kind of closing the gap a little bit on that.
Well, with
But
the RNA rules too, though, like they've
yeah,
maxed out clubs to the. I'm not gonna say to the most that they can, but for that center
sure.
of the face, it's pretty maxed out right now. So where the advancements in technology, where it's so great, is what is it doing for mishits? And
Yeah.
that's where they're really still starting to tinker and still do a lot of cool stuff with. Is like what's going to happen when you hit it off the toe? What's going to happen when you hit it in the heel? The coolest thing for me, because I swing up on the ball, how they started wrapping that bottom groove around the bottom of the face. To me, that was a total game changer. Every time I caught something a little thin, it wasn't like this little low burner. I still got a good trajectory and everything on it. So that was a huge. I mean, Cobra did a great job with that. The LTDX line. I mean, I remember seeing that. You could see it around the bottom like that, which was for me personally, that's just massive.
Yeah, and something that people don't ever know about, or even like fitters don't talk about, and B, I don't think a lot of golfers even know exist, or even know that that's a piece of technology. Like, how many guys have you ever heard about wrapping it around that bottom groove?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a small thing, but it makes such a big difference. You know what I mean? And the faces are getting more stable. Like the new Strixon ZX5 driver is it's actually an LS head. It's a low spinning head, but the MOI on it's crazy high. So low spinning drivers. So with fitting people, it's always been like, oh, okay, so if you come in really steep to the ball, I'm going to consider putting you in a low spin head because you're just spinning the hell out of it, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Now we're getting 85 to 85 shooters, maybe a little bit more, into low spinning heads. They're going to get the more distance, and they're going to get the consistency like they would from a max style head. That's huge for the average golfer. And that's the big thing for us, I feel like, especially, at least I can say for me, is what is this going to do for the average golfer? We all know John Rahm's going to hit in the center of the face, and Rory's going to hit bombs and all these things. But what's it going to do for the person that's shooting 85? I mean, most people can't break 85. So this equipment needs to be made for those golfers, not for the top of the line guys. And let's face it, those guys are most of the time getting everything super custom anyways. It's not always going to be the same head, unless it's Mizuno. Mizuno's really good about, listen, we pull the same heads out of the same boxes we pull out for the pros. So
yeah, gotta love Mizuno. Yeah, I think that's a really important point to make, is that so many times pros are getting like a special tour head, and even sometimes a special tour shaft that you can't even buy, or if you can buy it, it's $400, $500, $600, $700. So even if you can get it, it's kind of out of the price range for like a guy like me, for sure. I play a ton of golf in the industry.
Do you know about the green dot cog they put on the Callaway drivers?
I do not.
So basically, you can go down, instead of going up 2, down 1, you can go down 2 with it.
Ooh, lovely.
Yeah, that's really cool. So the theory on it, I mean, the cool thing about it is, if I was to get one of them, I would probably stay in the max head, or even you could get somebody in the draw bias head. And then you can loft that thing down, get like a 9-degree draw bias head, loft it down to a 7 degree. It's already crazy high launching. Put a low spin shaft on it and aim up the right side of the fairway all day. You're going to be golden.
Yeah. Great point. Yeah. We'll say that TaylorMade comes with a 2-degree launch sleeve either way, but that's neither here nor there. We're not arguing that.
I did enjoy hitting the Stealth at 7 degrees. That was fun. No, I got the 8-degree head. I hit it at 6 degrees.
Yeah, that's a fun. Yeah, that's a little Bryson action right there. But in all fairness, and I think what we were getting to is, I tried the Paradym at the event, and the numbers just don't lie. Like, I was gaining in all of the right spaces. And so, and we were lucky enough to kind of get the Paradym now before it releases. We've had it for about a month. So I have the Paradym in my bag, and I know you do too. And so, yeah, I mean, like, I was convinced, which I think is important, to like not let biases dictate what equipment you're going to play, especially at like our level. If we're going to get paid millions of dollars, it's a different story. But if there's a better driver out there, don't be afraid to play it, even if it's not like, oh, I've always played TaylorMade Woods. Well, maybe this season you're not going to play it, or until the next time you upgrade a driver. So I did put the Paradym in the bag. It's amazing. And it's not only amazing in the driver, it's amazing in the fairway woods and the hybrid too, which I don't have yet, but I cannot see myself avoiding putting in the bag, just because it's like, if I'm going to play better golf, I have all of the stealth now. I think I have to go all Paradym in my bag just because of how good they are. For me, they were awesome.
100%. And I'm not a hybrid guy at all. And I've
No,
said
you're
this till I was blue in the face. I can't stand hybrids. I don't trust them. I don't like how they look. I have a tendency to hook them more than any other club. I think it's all in my head at this point. But I was hitting that 18-degree Paradym hybrid like it was just a rocket.
Yeah.
I mean, this will be the very first hybrid I will own and put in my bag and have 100% confidence behind. And I think the shape behind it is what got me, is because I have the Callaway wood in my bag right now, the 21-degree, which almost looks like a baby fairway wood. It's like almost like the old school, like remember the old Titleist fairway woods, like the generation, the 983K, the little like teardrop shape almost. It looks like a little miniature wood. And I think that's why I like it so much. It didn't have like that clunky block on the back, you know, it just kind of looks square. I never liked it. I get why they do it, but it just doesn't work for me at all. But this hybrid is just unreal. It is completely off the charts. The diamond fairway woods are just stupid long.
Oh,
it is obnoxious how far they go.
And they look so good behind the ball. I don't know if I've ever seen a fairway wood look so nice than the triple diamond head behind a golf ball. I don't know what it is. Like, I can't even explain to you why. Just the aesthetic of it. It just looks, you know, you get those feelings sometimes when you step up to a ball and you just know before you swing, like, this is going to be a really good shot. I can't tell you why it is. Everything feels like it's aligned, you know, like the space-time continuum and the string have all come into place, and I'm going to rocket this ball. I get that confidence when I hold a triple diamond head in the 3-wood or the 5-wood.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
Even the 3+, which is like a 2-wood in the diamond, it's set. I mean, I would never game it because I have no reason to, but it looks really good behind the ball, and that thing is stupid long. Like, it was a low piercing bullet, and I don't think it ever would have stopped if it wasn't for that net.
I agree. You almost don't even need a driver if you want to game the triple diamond 3-wood.
No, not at all.
You could go as long as drivers 5 years ago, at least. If not
easily. I mean, earlier, this line is going to win the year. Absolutely.
I think so too.
That being said, everyone has good clubs this year. I even liked the Cobra driver, which is weird. Nothing against Cobra personally. I just never liked the feel. I've never hit them well. It's a fast driver, though. It's a really good club. I like it a lot better than the LTD line, but everyone's good this year. I've got my hands on pretty much everything at this point except for the Stealth 2, and it's I mean, everyone's neck and neck this year, so it's gonna be really hard to go wrong. I think. I think for the average golfer, we're really splitting hairs.
Yeah. So you got to hit those drivers at the PGA show, correct?
Yes. So I got to hit.
A bunch of guys curated, not me, because I'm waiting for my wife to deliver our third baby, and I'm trying, you know, like after this balancing act, because like I'm very, very excited about our third baby, but I was super bummed to not be able to go hit all the equipment. So
it was so much fun.
Like, give us the real quick, like 30 seconds or less synopsis of the PGA show, and then we can dive deeper into it.
So the coolest part about it easily was the demo day. Everyone was there except for TaylorMade. And being able to walk around from tent to tent, and they have all the new clubs out, and they have TrackMan set up and everything for you to hit shots with. And it was just top notch. And this driving range is massive. It wraps all the way around too. Like at one point you're hitting this way, another point you're hitting like that way. It was just huge. And it was super cool to just see that much golf right there in front of you. The inside PGA show was really cool. It was a lot of simulators, like putting greens, a lot of apparel, food, G-Pod, just kind of like all the stuff that isn't golf clubs was there. But they did have clubs at demo out there, but they were also doing it with the full swing technology, or the full swing simulator, which was pretty rad. I'm not gonna lie, I got to hit a couple golf balls on that.
Awesome.
But all around, it was an amazing experience, and I can't wait to go back next year. Like it's a golf nerd heaven. Let's put it that way.
It looked like it. I was so bummed. So demo day. Let's start there. I saw a little bit of your content on Instagram. By the way, PGR Scratch Golf on Instagram. You need to follow that right away because it's full of not only sweet videos but tons of really good content because you just know your stuff. So we talked to drivers. Obviously, you kind of have gotten Paradym number one. You talked to us a little bit about Cobra, but kind of, I don't
So
know.
we
Give us
started.
your PGR. Is there a PGR top 5? Obviously, we haven't hit the Stealth 2 yet, but
Here we go.
what,
All right.
what were your best ones? Let's outside of the Paradym. What was your favorite one? What was your surprising one? And what was your least favorite one?
So I gotta say, my favorite was also the most surprising was the Strixon driver.
Ah,
So I kind of talked about it earlier.
nice.
That ZX5 LS, it felt great. A little
Yeah.
bit of a bigger profile, but it went a mile. It was so easy to hit. And me, I like to try to get into the players' heads more. I avoid the triple diamond head because I feel like that's just for Callaway, just because I feel like there's more downside than upside for somebody like me.
Sure.
But with everyone else, I'm trying to go in the lowest spinning option. So I went and hit the ZX7, and it was insane how good it felt. It felt like those old deep faces, which personally is something that I like. You could feel the ball going into the face and shooting it out. It felt unreal. The fairway woods were amazing. The irons, and I'm a big Mizuno guy. I love my Mizuno Pro 223s. I've always loved Mizuno irons, but man, I'm having an internal battle with the new Strixon irons. Those new MK2 blades they were so nice. They felt so good. The ZX7s were great too. That V-sole is no joke. The way that it goes through the turf is effortless. There was no jamming in the club or anything like that, which is something that I struggled with the Cobra irons. It seemed like every shot I was hitting was kind of jamming in the ground a little bit. And it could just be me. It could have been my swings while I was there. I mean, I had a lot of golf balls that day.
Right.
The Cobra driver impressed me. It was better than the last generation, but for some reason, I just never get out of them what other people get out of them.
Right.
Just me. I don't know why. I've tried every generation, and it's just meh to me.
Fair enough.
Titleist was insane. I mean, Titleist never makes anything bad, but I've always felt like they maybe lacked a little bit in the driver department. I always like the fairway woods, the TS. What was it? The TSI line, TSIs.
That's the previous one. That's the one we're on now. Yeah.
The previous one. Those fairway woods were insane. They were just. They felt great. They sounded great. They went a mile. I like the new ones a whole lot, but the TSR4 driver. Now, I don't think I would game it because it's like super duper like player head, but it felt unreal. Same feeling, that deep face and everything like that. Also, maybe the one thing I could have been most impressed by, we were kind of bouncing around here, is that Titleist 1 iron, that U505.
Yeah.
That was, yes. I want to put it in my bag immediately. Like it was just, for a 1 iron, it launched so high. Yeah. That was the weirdest thing about it, is it went up in there like Bobby was skyrocketing this ball. I mean, it's a 1 iron. Like how high can you hit a 1 iron? Apparently really high.
Pretty high. Yeah.
Yeah. Least impressed with, sorry, Mizuno, the Mizuno driver. It felt good. It was forgiving. Maybe if I tinkered with the shafts long enough, maybe I can get the spin rate down a little bit more and get the distance out of it. I just felt as far as the distance battle goes, it was definitely the weakest performing one. That being said, their all black driving iron was very, very nice.
Yeah. Fly high, baby.
It was. It was very, very nice. The Strixon driving iron was absolutely fantastic too. So those three were really neck and neck with the driving irons, but that being able to say like, oh, I game a 1 iron, that kind of like puts it above everyone else.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I have to say too, back to the Strixon, the ZX Fairway Woods, I thought was the dark horse fairway wood last year. Because, with like Stealth coming out, and obviously that was kind of the biggest like explosion. Wow. Like, what is the Stealth? And then obviously Callaway and Cobra are kind of in there in the discussion too a lot. Titleist is always there. But
Fun fact real quick. When you look at the data, the Rogue ST Max LS fairway wood distance-wise outperformed everybody. Which is the first time I've ever put a Callaway fairway wood in my bag and kept it in there is for that reason, because I've always gamed TaylorMade fairway woods historically because they go longer and I've always just hit them better. But this is the last generation was the first generation that outperformed them, which was insane to me. And I gamed the 4 wood and that thing's a missile, dude. So, but go on. Sorry.
Awesome. No, that's fine. I was just going to say the ZX 3 wood last year, I thought was maybe the best fairway wood out there, which I know is like a hot take. But again, it's just kind of exactly what you were saying. Like it just felt like you almost could feel that same with the driver. Like you could feel the ball absorb the face and then just shoot out, which I also love that feeling. The old Nike stuff had that, which is why I loved it so much, is you just felt like you could just feel the face. And I know that not going to make sense for people who don't know what it is. Maybe like younger golfers won't know what that feeling is like, but that's how I felt hitting the ZX fairway wood. So I'm really excited. I haven't got to hit the new one, but if it was anything like the old one, I think Strixon could be the dark horse, just like club maker up and down the line this year.
Well, they're slowly growing every year. Every year they get, or every generation, not every year, every generation they get a little bit better. They get a little bit more, they're more in the conversation. The one thing I want to see them make is, I know Strixon, Cleveland's underneath Strixon. I would love to see Strixon make some wedges.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Although it would be hard to outduel Cleveland.
Yeah, but I feel like give them like make them super premium. I think they could do it. Because Cleveland to me is like the every man's wedge kind of thing. You know, you can't go wrong with the Cleveland wedge. But I think Strixon, I think would be a good like premium addition to something like that.
That would be
but
cool.
Real quick, going back to the PGA show, I want to show this. The one thing that I would say is probably I'm the most excited about is, I don't know if you remember the old zebra putters. Yes, they're back. Cool. And they are amazing. So here's the thing. I have the little pamphlet right here next to me. I don't take pamphlets for anything at all. I took this pamphlet because it is that good. So this is the scoop on the zebra putters. So they're back, but with all kinds of technology. And the guy that designed this line of putters actually was designing putters for Odyssey. And now he's working for Scotty Cameron. So that gives you an idea of the quality of these putters. So it has like a milled insert face, but behind that milled insert face, you have a urethane insert behind it. So it almost feels like a white hot putter, but you have that milled roll to it. It does come a little hot off the putter, but it was absolutely fantastic. I think the price point, like the MSRP price point on it's like only $250. So that is that's a sweet price. Yeah, exactly. So I'm super excited about that. And Yonex was there too, or Yonex. I apparently have been saying that wrong my whole life. But they were there with the long.
I've always thought it was Yonex too.
Yeah. I always thought it was Yonex. Apparently it's Yonex.
Okay, learn something new every day.
Exactly. But they were there with the long drive competition. I'm not gonna lie, those drivers, they went a mile. I mean, I don't think I'd ever game one.
Yeah.
But they are fun to hit, though. Let me tell you, like loading up on one of those things was a lot of fun. Like my hat was flipping off my head. I was swinging so hard.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of people who game Yonex, but kudos to them for staying in the game. That's awesome.
Well, they were the original carbon head.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
It is funny. Everybody thinks that TaylorMade like came up with this carbon idea because they're obviously really good at marketing, and then you slap a red color to it, and all of a sudden they like kind of made it seem like they invented the idea of like carbon, which they haven't. It's newsflash, they haven't. Yeah, I mean, they have an all carbon face, which is kind of like jury's still out if that's like newer, better technology or if it's a marketing ploy. I do think the face feels really good, but I'm just not the first people to throw carbon in there.
So yeah, with the stealth, as far as that goes in the carbon, I think in time it is going to be kind of like the ultimate end to everything. I think we're going to see carbon face on a lot of things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, without being able to do the variable face technology, I think they're going to be lacking on forgiveness until they figure that out. Carbon being so thin and all the layers and layers and layers is going to be really hard to thin it out across the face and make it mesh and still be sturdy. And that's the biggest complaint about the stealth is if you're hitting it on the center of the face every time, it is an amazing driver, without a doubt. It's fantastic. But for the people shooting 85, 88, they're not hitting the center of the face every time. So those miss hits, they're going to miss hit it more than someone like you or I would.
Right.
And I think it's going to be ultimately more punishing for them. And that's where I think the titanium or the forced titanium is going to be a better option.
Yeah.
But I think in time we're going to get a better carbon driver. Absolutely. I think it's inevitable. But I think there's still a way to go on it. I'm going to be real honest. I'm sold on the fact that it works, but I'm not sold on the fact that you can make it as efficient as titanium across the board, like in every category.
I agree with that. I think I agree with that for sure, especially after hitting like some of this newer stuff, especially the Paradym out now. Like it's just like,
why you hit that and you're like, why go carbon? This is titanium all day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, and I know other people. I just actually put a video out on Instagram that was like, and part of it was like a playful jest, like why is the Paradym 10 times better than the Stealth, which, like I don't believe that it's 10 times better, but we're trying to have a little fun. And then of course you get the trolls that are like, well, then why do I hit my TSR better off the, TrackMan every time? I'm like, I don't know. Good for you. Like, it's a great driver. And like, nobody's trying to crap on the TSR or the Stealth, really. But I just think it's funny how people are like, I'm not trying to. Yeah, the Paradym's not gospel.
It has a lot to do with the confidence. It has a lot to do with the confidence that the club inspires for you too. Everybody's swing is so different. But if you look at launch angle, spin rates, and everything like that, I mean, the shaft, the grip, I mean, all these little things make a huge difference in how your driver performs. And if I set up to a club that feels bad or looks bad, it doesn't matter how good that club is.
Yeah,
I'm not going to perform with it. I'm just not, because I'll never be able to emotionally get to that point where I'm very good at being biased. So I can hit just about anything and enjoy it for the most part, or at least find some positive in it. But it has a lot to do with, if you're not inspired by the driver, you're not going to hit it well. That's why some people hit the TSR better, because they see it and they're like, I'm going to rip this, and I have 100% confidence it's going to go down the middle. There's some drivers you look at and go, I'm going to hook the hell out of this, and I just know it. Obviously, the driver you're more confident with is the one that you're going to hit better, and it's going to perform better for you. Yeah, and that's all there is to it. I mean, I think if you look at the data across the drivers, in like Cool Guys Golf, that's the one thing I love about them, is they actually just have a robot with a driver, same exact swing, X amount of golf balls. Here are the numbers. This is the objective data.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's great. Okay, so in your bag right now, you have Paradym driver, and then you have Rogue ST Forwood, right?
Rogue STLS or Rogue STHLLS, which is a Forwood. Yes, I don't know why they didn't call it a Forwood, but whatever.
So okay, got it. So it's set at a 4-wood loft.
Yeah. And then, because I traditionally play a 5-wood, so I went to 4-wood just because I had a chance to play a 4-wood. That's just fun and cool.
Fair enough. And then you're going driving iron or just straight to irons?
So I have the Callaway U-wood in there at 21 degrees, and then I actually have the TaylorMade P790 UDI in there, which I do like. When I hit it the way I want to hit it, I really like it. I'm not sold on it because I can hit some really ugly shots with it. That's just, it is what it is. And then I go into my bag, my 4-iron through pitching wedge are the Mizuno Pro 223s.
Yeah.
Yes, I love the Project X IO shafts in them. I probably should have gone rifle in them. They still get a bit spinnier for me than I would like, but I'm going to make sure that I do my due diligence next time I go to a more spinny head. And then I'm gaming the Raw Jaws right now, or the Raw Jaws. Raw Jaws. Gaming Raw Jaws. It's forever Raw's Jaw now. But I'm gaming those right now. And to me, those are just
wedge. It's very chic.
It's like the TaylorMade M7 driver is a super limited edition. All right. In putters, it depends on my week. I have a TaylorMade one in there now just because it's the right length, but it's not my favorite. I have an even roll that's 34 inches that I like better. To be completely transparent, I'm probably getting the Rossi 5K and or Scotty Cameron this year and or Bednardi Queen V6.
I'm getting one of 4 new putters. We'll see what it is.
I got to keep them in rotation. Once one starts misbehaving, I'm like, all right, in with the new putter. I need something.
That was going to be my next question is like, what in your bag is probably going to stay and what in your bag is probably going to get replaced?
The Paradym is staying for sure. I think everything at this point is at risk. Let's put it that way. Except for the wedges. The Jaws Raw are probably going to stay in there because I have the National Custom Work wedges in there, and I really like them, but I just haven't gotten comfortable with them yet. But even that terrible round of golf I played at Shingle Creek, I hit one. I had a sand save where I chipped in and out of the bunker, and then I also had another chip in during the round as well. And it was a blind chip shot, by the way. I hit it into the bank, and it went in for birdie.
That'll be enough to keep the wedges in the bag.
I've had so many chip-ins with these Jaws Raw. Like, it's just stupid.
Fair enough.
Irons, I want to say I'm keeping them in there, but like I said, internal battles, the Strixons, and I know there's a good chance, I don't know this, but I have a feeling that Callaway's going to be coming out with a new Apex line at some point this year, and I will be very drawn to maybe some of their CBs or something like that. We'll see. I don't know. Like, I would love to just have all of one brand in my bag. That way I can just do it.
Yeah.
But it's so hard when you get
any brands are looking for staff deals. We are open to it. We are not shying away from having a full bag of one brand. If you're listening,
Strixon.
I
feel bad.
That's our go-to right now. Yeah.
Did I tell you how I've kind of been harassing them a little bit?
Yeah. Oh, I've seen it.
So yeah, I've been sending them DMs too.
So funny.
They're like, oh, thank you for putting it in the story. I'm like, yeah, so that staff deal. And then they're like, nothing.
That's so funny. So good times with Callaway. Bob Does Sports, Callaway, Grant, and all those guys. TaylorMade. The Paradym podcast is going to be a Strixon Cleveland staff deal. We're just kidding. Yep. That has not happened. That is not official. Please don't message us about it.
I'll take the Strixon staff deal right now.
All right, so all up for grabs. I like it. Anything? Well, yeah, no. So for me, yeah. So, the Paradym is in the bag to stay. So I am. I'm still testing it out versus the triple diamond head. I just don't know which head I want to put in there yet. I just haven't had enough time with it.
With you being a cutter of the ball, I think you'd like the Max head better, but that's just me.
I think I will too, although I will say that I wasn't crazy about how I was launching the triple diamond at 9 degrees, but recently I turned it up to 10 degrees, and I will say it's pretty good. So,
I can't remember if it changes.
It's going to be a dogfight. I think I expect to go with a regular head. But sometimes I'm a low spin head kind of guy. I do come in a little steeper. And so we'll just see. I'm working that out. Like I'm starting to flatten my swing out a little bit, so I don't need the low spin as much as I did. But for the last couple of seasons, the low spin has helped, which is why I have the Stealth Plus. And then I play the 3-wood. I've been using a TaylorMade mini driver because the club for me right now can't miss. I don't know what it is, but it just I don't know if it's just the length and the head size are just right. So I've kind of been using that as a makeshift 3-wood, even though it's at 11.5 turned up to 12.5 degrees. So it's a really
How
strong.
How is that off the deck?
What's that?
How is that off the deck?
I love it. It's a bigger head. But I've been able to get it off the deck pretty well.
Low launching,
of course, it's getting crazy distance and roll because it's such a low loft. So that's kind of my 3 right now. But depending on the course, I switch it out. And then let's see. I have Stealth Plus 3 hybrid, which I really, really like. I switched to a hybrid a couple seasons ago just because I've gotten a little soggier in the midsection and I'm not as strong as I used to be. And so a 3-iron just wasn't it was a waste of a club, because I just wasn't hitting it well and it was just in my bag taking up space. So I finally went to the hybrid. I was really against it because I was kind of a purist. I need to hit 3 through pitching wedge because I used to play blades. That's how I grew up playing. My dad had an old set of Hague Ultra blades that he taught me on, which were literally I don't know, it was they say butter knives, and they really were in the worst sense. It was just, I don't know how I ever got the ball in the air, but I guess that's just what everybody did back then. So then I played the Nike blades, but I got away from blades and I play the P790 black irons, which they're pretty sweet. I just love the black. I'm on a blackout kick right now, which
they look great, but they wear off, and that's when it starts stressing me out, man.
Yeah, they do wear off, and my lower irons, because I play so much golf. I like 9-iron, pitching wedge, 8-iron are really getting worn. However, speaking of the PGA show, I saw that both Titleist and Mizuno, Titleist with the T200 and Mizuno with the 225s, are coming with a blackout line. So it's going to be.
It also has the T100 to the 100Ss and the T200s.
Yeah,
it's insane to me. They were black shaft, and they had the all black wedges there too. So I was just looking I could build a really sick Titleist bag if I. Yeah. Actually, another thing there, the new grip on the Scotty Cameron putters is unreal. It just sits in your hand so beautifully. Yeah, that's another big reason why I'm kind of really drawn to them. Is the grip was absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Speaking of butter knives too, have you hit the Ricky Fowler blades before?
Yes.
They're hard to hit, but man, they feel great when you hit them.
If you hit it in the middle, it's buttery, and if it's a millimeter off center, it feels like you hit a lava rock with a very old mallet.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm gaming the P790s right now, which I think, I don't know, probably a little bit like this is gonna. I don't mean this in like an egotistical way, but probably like I'm a little too good for the P790s, but not
We're really
that good
forgetting.
to go to blades again. So I'm in anyway, and then the wedges, I go back and forth. Like I've been gaming the MG3 TaylorMade wedges, but which for some reason, I know they spin well for me.
I don't like them at all.
I know you don't. I know you don't. And I know they're not like a popular. Like everybody plays the Vokey or the Cleveland usually, or the Jaws Raw are becoming popular. But for me, the MG3 also, what's that?
Rory took the TaylorMade wedges out of the bag and just wanted to buy. Just going to leave that on the table for you.
I'm in there. So, and then I game a Scotty Cameron Newport that I've had for 12 years almost, 11 years, that I just keep going back to. I've actually been doing some putter testing to like I love the Scotty Cameron, but I really, really want to try this year more than any other year of being like, what actually is the best for me instead of being like, well, I just like this. So I'm going to put it in the bag and maybe it's above or below my pay grade. So I have a couple putters I'm testing. I also would really like to get at some point a 5K or a Toulon putter, just to kind of like try those out and put those up against it. So I'm trying to come home. The Cleveland Huntington Beach series is awesome, and they're really reasonably priced.
The show. They look great.
Yeah,
they feel
especially
great.
with that
They roll
UFT all-in shaft. Those things are like they're
Stock
premium.
shaft.
I mean, they should be $150 more expensive. They could charge it for sure.
Absolutely,
because they're so good. I have the 11 head, which is the mallet, and I have the slant neck, and then I have the blade head. They've both been really good, and I've never hit a mallet before, and it's in consideration. So right now, the Scotty Cameron's in the bag, but the mallet does make an appearance, and we'll see what testing does. So kind of like you, Paradym's probably going to stay in the bag, and then I'm pretty much open to anything else changing. It's going to be hard not to put more Paradym woods in there. I think I may go like 5, maybe the 5 wood, 3 wood or 5 wood triple diamond, and then maybe a hybrid in there. Although it sounds like it's the year of the driving iron based on what you're saying. And I haven't hit any of those driving irons. So if there's a driving iron that I can find that I really like, I may replace the old hybrid with a driving iron. Because it sounds like it may be the time the fly high could definitely make its way in the bag, especially since it comes in black. It would look really nice with a new set of 225s. So we'll see. I don't know. Well, I'm constantly tinkering, especially with this job that we have. I used to have like 1 set of golf clubs, and now I have 4 or 5 sets. So it's hard not to like.
Well, with the putters too, what's interesting, something that I'm trying to slowly accept over time is there's a lot of things that I like and that feel good, but don't perform well for me. And having a high MOI putter, I think, especially for the average golfer, is incredibly important. That's where the 5Ks are.
They are meaning. Tell us what it means.
Moment of inertia.
There you go.
Sorry,
yeah.
Moment of inertia.
No. I just for our listeners who maybe don't know what MOI is, MOI, moment of inertia, CG, center of gravity. Just so you know, we use the terms. We'll try to make sure we abbreviate.
Basically, the MOI determines how stable the face is at impact. So in the Odyssey 5Ks have the most stable face at impact over any other putter on the market, from my understanding. And what's crazy about it too is they have it in their blades, which that's not typical. Usually, whenever you go to a blade putter, you're sacrificing stability of the face. But the people that play with blades, and the reason why I always liked playing blades before was because if you get on really fast greens or things with little nuances here, your touch, you can feel it in your fingertips a little bit more. Yeah. Or with mallets, I personally struggle with it is because it's just such a blunt motion. You know what I mean? 100%. That being said, how many pros are using mallets on these crazy fast greens and winning tournaments? So clearly it's a me issue. But the fact that they can have such a high MOI in a blade putter is wonderful. So it gives somebody like me who likes to play a blade the stability of a mallet. That's a big step in technology. You know what I mean? And I think it's only going to improve. And now they're going to be doing the Rossi head with it as well, which is super rad. So, I mean, there's a lot of things coming out with the 5K line. 5K line's not going anywhere. Like, it went from white hot. I'm sure they'll still pump out some white hot stuff for a price point. But as far as putters go, I mean, I actually like the 5Ks more than I like the Toulons. And I gained a Toulon. I had the Vegas, and I liked it, but it just did not it just wasn't as good as it didn't feel as good for some reason to me. I don't know why,
That's
but
fair.
didn't work for me.
No, I understand. I mean, that's why I still game a 2011 putter, because I've tried newer putters. I tried the Spider. I'm trying the Cleveland, and it's just like really hard. Like nothing feels as good as that 2011 Scotty. Even newer Scotties, like I've hit, just like at like the golf store or tested. It's just hard. Like that one Scotty just feels so good, and it may just be because I've played with it for a decade. You know, like Tiger still uses his 22-year-old Scotty Cameron. So we'll see. I mean, I'm open to anything except for, well, I mean, I guess I would be open to a driver change, but it's going to be hard to beat the Paradym for me right now. So.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and Tiger's putter is like easily the most important piece of golf or of sports equipment to probably ever have existed.
Agreed.
Like across all sports, name one thing that is as iconic as that. It just, there isn't. It doesn't exist. At least not in my mind.
Yeah, we're also big Tiger fans, so just in case, as you listen to more episodes, I'm sure there'll be a lot more Tiger talk. Going forward, because
I can't wait to see him at the Masters.
We're Tiger apologists,
I hope he comes in,
and we're not ashamed of it. Okay, so closing out the PGA show, is there anything else that we need to know about equipment, or just what like cool things? Anything that we need to know about?
Honestly, all technology this year is really neck and neck. I say it in my reviews as well that you need to get rid of the brand bias. There's a lot of good clubs out there, and especially with someone like Srixon, I know I kind of keep coming back to them. They, in my opinion, don't get the recognition they deserve by any stretch. And I talk people's faces off about Srixon. They look at me like I have three heads, and I'm just like, they're so good. And especially right now, their price point is still low. Is because they don't have that brand recognition. Like there will be a day where you will not be able to buy a set of those irons for less than $1,000. They'll be up there the $1,300 set of irons, and in my opinion, they have every right to charge for it easily. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I would tell people try Srixon, try their irons. You know, you have the ZX5s or the ZX4s, 5s, and 7s. 4s are going to be pretty much their game improvement iron. 5 is going to be more of like a player's distance iron if you had to put it in a category. 7 is going to be their player's head. And then you have the blades, which are, well, they're blades. I don't need to explain that. They're not for the faint of heart. Let's put it that way. Right. Their drivers are unreal. They feel great. They're at a great price point. You can't beat it. If you're looking to get into new clubs at a good price point, like you can't beat what they're doing right now. Right. As far as everyone else goes, Cobra made a big step up. Titleist is still Titleist. Their woods are very impressive. The ball speed on them is very, very good. Mizuno irons, always fantastic. You can never go wrong with Mizuno. Nothing feels like a Mizuno, and that still rings true to this day. Zebra putters, get one because another thing too is like now that they don't have that guy designing putters, I mean, I can't speak for them, but I don't know if the next line will be as good or what they're going to be. Because I mean, they had a guy from Odyssey go to Scotty, design these putters. Like, I don't know who's designing the next line or what they're going to do with it, but it's kind of like a get it while you can kind of thing. I think it's going to be a great line of putters, and for the price point, you just can't beat it.
Yeah, this could be a unicorn for Zebra. Like, hadn't had it before, may not have it kind of thing.
Oh, and speaking of price point irons, there's a company called Golf Brands, and they're the ones that absorbed Ram Golf, McGregor, and there's someone else that I'm missing right now. But I actually, those golf clubs and golf division, the Ram irons?
Sure.
Okay, so I was able to put hands on them finally. They look great. Now they're probably more of like almost like a P790 kind of look to them. But for like $500 a set of irons, they're fantastic. And then McGregor has these new blades out that are 100% forged. And to be honest with everybody out there, once you get into true forged irons, like 100% forged, we're splitting hairs on differences here. Like the performance isn't going to be that big, that massive of a difference from forged blade to forged blade to forged blade. I mean, I like the tighter tolerances. That's why I like Japanese forged. That's why I have my Miras in there. I love Srixon. I love Mizuno because over there they have tighter tolerances than they do here in the States. So maybe that does give you a little bit more room for improvement there if you play blades. But if you're just looking for a set of blades, I mean, I think the McGregors came in at like $799 or something like that. It's crazy price point. I mean, they look beautiful. And they look good. They set up well at a dress. I didn't get to hit them because it was in the indoor thing, but they look really great. So there are a lot of options for all price points out there. Just I'm not telling people to get away from the big OEMs or the big manufacturers because they all make great clubs. But I know a lot of golfers on a budget. I know the economy is kind of wonky right now. There are a lot of great clubs out there that you would never look twice at because they don't market like other brands. And I just encourage everybody to give them a fair shot. At least hit them. At least look at the numbers on them. Don't immediately jump to like, oh, I'm going to play the TaylorMade 7MB or the 7MB is like, just try to, or the P, not the P, whatever. But there are a lot of brands out there with a lot of good price points. Give them a shot. I mean, and they deserve it. And these brands are working their faces off. Those McGregor irons got silver in the Golf Digest for the rank of irons, and they didn't even pay to be in it.
Nice. Good for them.
Not a no-name brand, but for a brand that nobody really pays attention to, that has basically no money to put into advertising or marketing, to be put on that list with all these other brands, that's insanity. That tells you how good they are. Imagine they had some funding and marketing behind them. It would have been a gold list item. Because let's face it, we know everyone on the gold list they're forking over a little bit of extra money to be put on that list. So,
100%. All right, awesome. So let's go. So from the PGA show to the PGA Tour, right? So season is kicked off. We've had a couple of events. Max Homa, yeah. Friend of the pod unofficially because he doesn't know we exist, but we like him. Yeah. So Rom takes 2 of 3. And then Max Homa comes in with the win at Torrey Pines, which I love Torrey Pines.
Oh, yeah, no. Have you played it?
Yes.
Have you played Torrey
Pines last Christmas, 2021. My family was down in San Diego for Christmas, and so we got to – my dad, my younger brother, and I played South and North a couple weeks before the Farmers Insurance Open. So,
nice. So tournament conditions.
Tournament conditions, really, really tough. The rough was just like nothing I've ever been in before. It was car path only, so it was an absolute beating. But just like, I mean, I don't know. It was a transcendent experience. Like I've never gotten to play Augusta or Pebble or St. Andrews. I know you have played St. Andrews. But it's one of those courses where it's just like, I'm here. Like, this is awesome. And then hitting balls, like up the coast is right there, and you're gonna like fall off the cliff. And it was awesome. It was a really cool experience. And then it's one of those, and then it's fun to like watch the guys play because you're like, oh, I know that hole. I know that hole. Yeah. I actually if you look at like my early Instagram too, but I legitimately birdied 18 from the furthest tees that you could play that day. They weren't like tournament tees. But I birdied 18 legit Torrey Pines to close out my round, so that was a cool thing too.
It's like the putt to win the tournament. As you just walk away, putter would have been thrown down, hands up in the air, fist pumping. I would have made a whole scene out of it. Yeah, it was awesome. Like I hit my drive into the fairway, and then I kind of pulled my second shot, and it literally like stopped right short of like the famous pond in front of the green. And so I just had like a little pitch, and I just like my brother was like smart enough to pull out his phone. He pulled out his phone and got the video of me hitting it over, and then another one of me knocking in the birdie putt. And I almost am like surprised. Like I don't even think I realized. And I think I shot like 87 that day because it was pretty tough. It was cold. It was tournament conditions, and my back was like in really bad condition. But so that's a cool video that I'll always have, and it was a really cool. That was a tangent, but Torrey Pines is awesome. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, my top courses, obviously I played St. Andrews, Carnoustie. Carnoustie's brutal. It's just relentless from beginning to end. Like, the first hole has that little burn going up the left side there, and it's firm out there. Like, it doesn't really give you a break. I think the only break I got in the course was maybe like the 10th hole or something like that. It was more of a straightaway par 4. But other than that, it's just relentless. St. Andrews actually isn't a crazy difficult course, but you're so caught up in playing St. Andrews that you can't focus. So, like, it's a spiritual experience. They're like, oh, this is retired Jack. Like, everybody has won here. So it's just you're so caught up in looking at things and taking pictures and talking to the caddies, and you forget that you're playing golf. So I want revenge. I want to go back. And I did shoot 79 out there. I did shoot 79 at St. Andrews.
That is an accomplishment in itself for sure.
Yeah, I was pretty proud of that.
I would be too. I don't know if I could put up a 79 at St. Andrews the first time around. So that's
with the Mira blades too.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, it just keeps
Back in
getting
the
better,
bag.
right?
Put those back in the
No, they're not
bag.
going to.
I'm not gonna do that.
Don't do
So
that to
thoughts
myself.
on what did you think about? I don't know how much of the tournament you caught last week. What did you thoughts on it? What did you think of
I thought
Homa
Rom,
versus?
I thought Rom had it. I mean, to be fair, he won 2 tournaments. I mean, Paradym was 3 for 3. I'm like, man, let's go forward. Let's go for.
Can you
And
imagine?
I love seeing Homa climb up the leaderboard and get the job done. Like, I'm always rooting for him. But I was surprised when I turned on the TV and I saw Rom was like 4 over or something like that. I was like, oh
Yeah, he
shit!
struggled
Like,
on Sunday, man.
wow, like this went south so fast for him. So it was great. I mean, it's always great watching golf at Torrey Pines, and to win out there for any golfer is a huge thing. I think for Homa, it's super important. So I remember going into the President's Cup, they were giving him trouble, like, oh, the only reason why you're here is because so and so is not here. And I think Homa has definitely proved himself, and I think
Yeah.
he proved himself to be on the team. First off, whoever
Yeah.
said that's hot garbage, but to win at Torrey Pines, that's iconic. You know what I mean? That's a big deal because they're gonna have majors out there. And I don't know if you've already caught this or not, but the U.S. Open this year is, I think Homa like set a course record out there or something like that when he was or amateur golfer. So all of a sudden we're kind of looking at how Scheffler was at the Masters last year's going into the U.S. Open because he tore up the U.S. Open course. I mean, he didn't do it at the U.S. Open that year, but Homa, he has a lot of momentum. He's been playing well consistently every year. Actually, I looked at his stats from the first year on tour. He only made 2 cuts, and his best finish was like tied for 78th.
Yeah,
which is wild. So he's been slowly moving up. His trajectory is great. Winning at Torrey has to be inspiring. It has to build confidence. And he's going to a U.S. Open venue where he has played exceptionally well. And exceptionally well is probably being too nice about it, to be honest. He's played very well at that course. I mean, I'm already kind of picking Homa for the U.S. Open. I mean, how can you not?
His home course. I mean, like he's a LA kid, isn't it? I think he's pretty familiar with it too. So he's got to be one of the favorites, especially if he keeps playing the way he's playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not playing bad golf anymore. If you look at all of his finishes, you don't see him tanking it anymore. And that's the bigger, kind of going back to the Paradym talk conversation between the Triple Diamond and the Max Head. But what makes these guys so good is their bad days are still good. And that's something the average golfer misses out on. So, can you hit a blade? I'm sure you can hit a blade, but what happens when you're having an off day? Right. You're not going to be able to hit that blade. You need a little extra forgiveness. I could play blades. I could play blades all day, but I don't because I don't like having that one day where my swings off by a millimeter and then just completely having a terrible round. It butchers my handicap. I get mad. That's not good for anything. You know what I mean? So, he's gotten really good at making his bad days good and his bad finishes still very strong. And that tells you that over time, he's going to be a dominant force in golf because he didn't just shoot up out of nowhere just to fall back down. He's been slowly building his career over the last few years, and he's put together a great resume. And I think going forward, it's only going to get better. Yeah. And even Tiger said himself, he's like, you should be winning more. And coming from Tiger, you can't really dispute that. He's
You kind of got to take that.
So.
Yeah. And he's definitely an early favorite for Ryder Cup as well. If he doesn't, he might even just qualify points-wise, but if not, then he's definitely in consideration for captain's pick too.
Easily.
Yeah. I mean, I was excited that he won. Especially, I don't know if you watched that. Like on Saturday, he did like a mid, hole.
Oh, the 4-5. Yeah.
Which I was just like, I mean, I didn't know that was going to happen, and then he was just talking all of a sudden to I think Randall Chambly or somebody like that, and then ended up making he played the hole, and I think he parred out or hit some really good. Yeah, I think he hit into a bunker and then a good bunker shot.
You had the guy come over and look at the book because it was a whole rules thing kind of thing, and I think it was kind of a stab at Patrick Reed a little bit. He's like, "I'm not touching it, not touching it."
Yeah. So I think there was just a ton of golfers it's not that big of a deal. He can talk and then go hit a good shot or go. It's not a distraction. So I hope that's kind of here to stay. I think it'd be awesome. I
think only certain golfers will do it though. I don't think you'll ever get Tiger to do it or Rory to do it, but I think you can get guys like Homa. Victor Hovland would be a great person to do it. I think you could maybe talk Spieth into it. I don't think Justin Thomas would do it, but you never know because he's gotten a little bit more time over the last few years.
Yeah.
He has, to be
The
fair.
only
He's got really chat.
you might be able to get even some of like the older guys to do it. I know they're more like old school, but also they kind of like know that their prime is past. I think like a good guy. I mean, although he's playing really good golf right now, is like Adam Scott. Like he's still in the mix, but he's probably not going to win a ton more. But I think like having Adam
I
Scott,
think he has a major or two in him. I think he'll win another major.
I hope
think he'll
so.
win another
That'd
British
be awesome.
or a PGA championship. I don't see him winning a U.S. Open because he always complains about them. And anybody that's ever complained about the U.S. Open setup has never won one. And then, or doesn't win it that year. And I actually, at Augusta, he can make a run at Augusta. He's won there before. You don't have to be a long hitter. You just need to, knowing the course there is more important than playing great golf.
Yeah.
If you know where to hit and where to miss it at Augusta, you're going to come out on top. So I think Adam Scott is definitely trending in the right direction for a major, 100%.
That'd be awesome. But I'd love to hear him talk to a hole.
Oh my gosh, yeah. His golf IQ's through the roof. Yeah. It's unreal.
Agreed.
And speaking of people like Rory winning in Dubai with the whole controversy with Patrick Reed, which by the way, that was the hopefully we don't get a defamation suit against us for saying this, but it is the douchiest thing you could have done to somebody. Is like, are you kidding me? You go over to shake your hand and then you insult him for not shaking your hand, but you're suing him at the same time. Like, and then all due respect to Mickelson, he's like, oh, I kind of liked it. The rivalries are good for golf. I'm like, rivalries happen naturally. Yeah. When guys duel over time, like Tiger and Phil, that was a natural rivalry. Right. Going to another golfer and flicking a tee at him, like, oh, we have a rivalry now. Like, get out of here, dude. Yeah. Are you joking me? Then he hit the ball in the tree. I just assumed that he was being dishonest because he has a terrible track record. He could have been honest. He keeps trying to clear his name. I don't know why. He's over at Live Golf already as it is. Like, what are you trying to save now? Like what fan base do you have that is actively supporting you all the time? Right.
I agree. I mean, I almost kind of feel bad for Patrick Reed sometimes. Again, I hope he's. I mean, if he is listening, fine. I doubt he's not going to be, but
no, he's not going to be.
He just seems. Yeah, he seems so insecure. I will say though, I guess to defend a little bit of Patrick Reed, which I'm hesitant to do, is like now that clearly he has done some dishonest things, which is why like the spotlight gets put on him more. But then it's like every little thing, it's like, oh, is he cheating? But other guys who have that same exact thing aren't even on TV. And so, like, I mean, his own fault because he brought it on himself, but then he gets a lot of flack for things that like for another golfer wouldn't even be an issue. Even like the tee thing, like you saw the video, he went over there, which was like whatever, but it like, they made it sound like he like took a handful of tees and like threw it at him, and it was like an underhand like this.
But it was still a douchey move, that little like, and it was like he just flicked it. Yeah, it was like, come on, man. Like, and actually, I think Rory didn't even know that he flicked a tee at him. Like, Rory was kind of oblivious to the whole thing until they brought it to his attention.
Yeah, but also just like Rory being like, I felt bad for Rory and laughed when he was just like, he sued me on Christmas Eve. Like the guy came to my house on Christmas Eve, which is just like,
well, the lawyers. It wasn't Patrick Reed himself, I believe.
No, yeah, his lawyer. But like the same thing is just like, why is that guy coming to my house on the 24th of December? Like, what? Just such a oh man, what a douchey move. Which just kind of seems right up his alley, unfortunately. But
he does not do himself any favors. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to see Rory win in Dubai. It's his third time winning in Dubai. It proves he's number one in the world. The world golf ranking thing's still a little wonky, though. I mean, you had Rahm win back-to-back weeks or back-to-back tournaments, and he barely scooted up the world rankings. And then Rory wins this week, and then Rahm tanks it. Then he drops in world rankings. I'm like, so I think there definitely needs to be something done about the world ranking points.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense even
like 3 of the last 8 official events, and
it's something like his handicap right now is like a +17 or something like that for 4 days. It's stupid. Yeah.
But
Rory's making a statement. He knows.
How is he not number 2? How is he not number 2? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and Cameron Smith is still top 5, I think, too.
Yeah, and he hasn't earned points since when?
The British Open.
Yeah, well, that's weird. I lost what I was going to say. Oh, what do you think about, so I know there's a huge controversy about, I'd love to get your take on this, of, like this Dubai event that happens every year, the PGA Tour is still letting guys go over there and play in it. It's an Asian Tour event technically, and they I don't know, like, officially or if this is unofficial, but, you know, like, I've read a bunch of stuff. Like, the same group that funds all of the live golf stuff owns this tour, or at least this event. And so, like, the PGA Tour is letting these guys go play in this, which is basically is like a live event without the title. From like a funding and marketing and
from a
funding
perspective, yes, but they've been playing the tournament for a long time before Live existed. So I think that is the counter argument. I think the counter argument is this has been around. Actually, I think Rory's first win came in Dubai, so he has good history there. I could be wrong on that. I don't know if I misread that or not. But counter argument: the tournament's been there a long time, so I get why they let them go over there and play it. With all the live controversy going on right now, I understand it because of the funding. And to be honest, when it comes to the funding, the golf tournaments and everything like that, like nobody's a purist. If you're wearing Nike, you're not a purist. And I love Rory and everything there. So I think the focus needs to be less on where the money's coming from, because a good chance if somebody's throwing millions and hundreds of millions of dollars at you, the money isn't all clean. And that goes for anything in this world.
Yeah, so, I don't even think my issue so much is, like, is the money clean or not? It's that, like, you'll let them do this one, but not that one. Is an interesting, like, a dichotomy to me, for sure.
Yeah, so I don't know how I feel about it, you know, because I know players are seeking permission to play in, like, that Saudi international tournament, and I don't know if they've granted them release or not on them yet. I read the article, but I haven't followed up on it at all yet. So I think if you're on the PGA Tour and you're a professional golfer on the PGA Tour, it is in your best interest to find something else to do that week, and to separate yourself from it as much as possible to relieve controversy. That being said, you're an independent contractor. Yeah. I don't necessarily like that they can limit you. Like, that's like Curated saying we can't do our own content, but we have to do content for them. I'm like, well, then I'm not an independent contractor kind of thing.
Right.
So I think over the next few years, we're going to see this ironed out a little bit more. I'm hoping that Live and the PGA Tour come to some kind of agreement so we can stop making golf so damn political. That's my biggest thing. The one thing I've always loved about golf is how non-political it was, and now out of nowhere is turning into an entertainment industry. Like the NBA or like the NFL is turned into entertainment. And actually, if you look at the LLCs for the NBA and NFL, it is labeled it is an entertainment industry, not a sporting industry. So, you know, I get what they're doing. I wanted to go back to the golf clubs doing the talking. That's what I want.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about golf, and the thing I love about it the most. I don't care who you are, where you're from. You shot the lowest score, you win. Yeah. That's all there is to it. There's no politics involved. You guys show up on the golf course, you play golf. Whoever shoots the lowest score wins. Don't cry about it later.
Yeah.
It's such an amazing sport in that aspect alone. And I'm not against the team events with what Liv does and everything like that. I think it's cool. It's interesting. But at the same time, I like solo golf. I like seeing winner take all kind of thing. Like, that's what it's for. Playing for legacy and championships. So, yeah, the Saudi thing, the Dubai thing, it's an interesting shade of gray. Let's put it that way.
For sure. Well, I'm sure we'll talk a ton more about, like, Live and that kind of stuff as this podcast kind of rolls on. So I know we could go another hour just talking about Live. But next week, they're at Pebble Beach. It's the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, kind of a famous tournament. I'm a little, like, disappointed. I know we were talking kind of before we recorded a little bit about just kind of like, I wish the bigger names turned out more. It's kind of becoming more just like about the amateurs. Like, you almost watch it more to see who the celebrities are going to be and how they play more than you do the pros, just because, you know, like, I mean, like, Rahm's not going to play naturally. Rory just won. He's not going to be there. Homa just won. I don't think he's going to be there. There's a couple big names, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited because it's always fun to watch the Pebble Beach tournament. Obviously, I'm going to watch it just because I'm going to watch it. But man, I just wish there were bigger names that turned out to Pebble Beach, just because it's such an iconic course and you want to see all those dudes play.
But we're going to get a good show. I mean, you got Jordan Spieth there, which last year at Pebble hitting that crazy shot over the cliff was awesome.
Yeah, I heard they made it more safe this year, so I don't think we'll see any of that.
Good. Actually, I just want to play Pebble so I can walk up to that cliff and see how scary it was. It looked horrifying.
It looks terrifying. If it looks terrifying in the picture, it has to be. I don't even know if I could walk up to it.
Yeah, exactly. But you have Jordan Spieth in it this week. You have Fitzpatrick coming out and playing, and actually I really like the course for Fitzpatrick to his game perfectly. And someone that everyone's kind of sleeping on is I think it's Justin Rose. If you've been following him, he's trending in the right direction. He seems to have everything kind of ironed out. I think we're going to see him in the winner's circle at some point this year or the following. I think his window's closing a little bit. So I think a course like Pebble plays well for him. It's not super long. As a placement course, as a great iron player. His putter has been great the last few years. It has some days where it's not there, but is very much improved. And actually, there's one guy completely under the radar that I love, and I've been watching him for a few years. And this course sets up well for him, and his name is David Lipsky. Small guy, shorter hitter, great ball striker. I want to see this guy win on the PGA Tour. I've been following for a few years. I want him to win.
David, if you are listening,
you have a fan, dude.
David Lipsky, come on. We're gonna try. Now we have to get Lipsky on the podcast. But I love those. I love those picks, especially Justin Rose. I just think Justin Rose can play good golf. I mean, like, I know he's world number one. He was a big deal for a little while. Like, he was in there I think he even could have. Yeah, he's just awesome. I love everything about Justin Rose.
He shouldn't have gone to Homa. He was riding momentum, and he went to Homa. He should have stuck with TaylorMade, waited for that to fizzle out, then make the switch. I think he took the cash grab. I'm going to be real honest with you.
Yeah,
I think he lost a lot of money. Yeah, no, at that point in your career, too.
Yeah, that's true. I really am excited, kind of along the Lipsky, just like the same kind of profile player. Well, first of all, like, I'm like in love with Tom Kim now. I think he's my new favorite player on the PGA Tour. Ever since the President's Cup, like, I am unabashedly like a Tom Kim fan. So I'd love to see him do well. Not only, I think he is in the, I guess I should have checked that before I opened my mouth. But I'm pretty sure he's playing. If he's not, I hope he does well.
He was, because I feel like he would have been a favorite.
But I'm really excited about, I think Kevin Kisner could play really well here. Again, same reasons that you're kind of saying is that he's not that long of a hitter, but he strikes his irons well, and he's year in, year out one of the best putters on tour. So I'm a little concerned about his switch to Wilson. You know, like, Wilson is making better stuff than they have. It's hard for me to, like, see a Wilson staff, like, guys shooting Wilson Woods, like, winning on the PGA Tour. But, I mean, it can happen. I do love Kiz. And I think if there's a chance for him to win on the tour, this is one of those events where he can at least make a run. It's a weaker field, unfortunately.
He plays there well too.
He does play there well, and you know he's admitted this too. Like, there's a lot of courses he can't win at. He's not a long hitter, so he needs a course that fits his game. And so I think a course where you don't have to hit it long and you have to putt it well is what Kiz does really well. So he's kind of my dark horse pick this week. I'd really like to see him do well.
A couple other guys in the field to keep an eye on too. One, I'm a huge fan of this guy's Maverick McNeely. Maverick McNeely. He's due. He has to win at some point. He has to win at some point. That and Victor Hovland. He won the U.S. Amateur here at Pebble Beach. He has been playing exceptional golf.
Pardon me.
Bless you. Victor Hovland at Pebble Beach is, I think, a very solid pick. The fact that he won the USAM there, it says a lot. And he plays great golf. And he tends to win whenever there's a beach nearby. I don't know if you followed that trend with him at all. If he's next to a beach, Mayakoba, and then he won Puerto Rico? No.
Yeah. Puerto Rico Open,
Yeah, it was Puerto Rico. Yeah. So he's both those, and he won the Hero World Challenge, the Bahamas.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So if there's a beach nearby.
On American beaches, but that's okay.
Okay, so maybe the sand's different, but you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think I love that pick. Victor Hovland, I think he could be, he's going to maybe. He's very good. You don't see a ton of really good Norwegians at golf, but I love that he's getting there.
None.
All right. Well, I think we've covered most of it. We're running out of time here. We've gone over an hour, so this has been awesome. What's that?
Let's say, make sure you give us a follow.
Yes.
Bar None Pod is the name of the podcast. We're on
Bar
Instagram.
None on Instagram. Ryan Hernandez Golf on Instagram. PJR Scratch Golf. I'm taking all of your lines. You go. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, to everyone that listens to this, thank you. We're shooting for an episode every week. I hope you enjoyed it. Any honest feedback would be appreciated. Make sure you give us a follow. We just plan on talking golf every week, golf gear, what's happening with Live Golf in the atmosphere now. There's a lot of drama out there, so I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is more for us than it is for anybody else, just because we want to talk about it. And so we thought, why not film it? Because maybe some other people would enjoy it. So this is just really like, we're making this for us because this is what we want to do. And anybody who listens and interacts and enjoys, like, that's just icing on the cake for us. So we're thankful if there's one, probably our parents, and then maybe our wives. And then we'll see if we can get anybody else to listen. But till next time.
Awesome.
See you guys. Take care.
Deuces.